You know what Eve, my fiance, likes?
Grease.
You're closer than I would like you to be.
Like bacon fat?
No, it's that nacho cheese that they squeeze out.
Like CHEEZ.
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah, like that. Like it's not really a cheese; it's melted plastic. And she's like,
cheddar.
Every now and then, mostly when she's drunk, she's like, "This is what I need," and I'm like, "No, you don't."
She just watches nuts from a Goofy movie.
Oh my god.
Max?
Oh no!
His friend.
Carrot Top?
Yeah, no.
Pauly Shore.
Yeah,
Pauly
it's
Shore.
just like, has anyone ever noticed why we always wear gloves? And then he doesn't show up in the next movie.
No, that was the second one was the last movie.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like,
he just disappeared.
it's crazy how they call him fingers. I don't ever see him thing. And you're like, what the fuck was Pauly Shore doing here?
Crack.
Probably.
He was like fresh off Encino Man.
There were crack jokes in Detective Pikachu.
That's true. I don't like that.
Let's all start talking over each other.
Let's do as many things that are hard on Scott's voice as we possibly can.
Oh god.
It's
well,
Tibetan silent singing.
Hey, wait.
Ooh.
It's my birthday.
Oh, that's right. It is. No, that's how we start. Then we sing Happy Birthday.
No. Welcome back to Taking Credit For. It's the month of anime. We're doing anime all month long. And today we've got a very special episode, which is actually a podcast review of blockbuster film release Detective Pikachu. Joining me today is, of course, I'm Scott. I'm the host. Excuse my disgusting voice. I'm just dying of the plague currently. But we're going to start to my left and work clockwise around. Joining me today,
It's Ben. Hi.
Ben's here all the time.
Usually.
You know Ben.
Oh, it's Raina. What's up?
Special guest Raina, who's also going to be featured in some other videos I'm sure you've seen at this point.
Hey, it's Lucas.
Lucas is here most of the time also as well. And finally, our last special guest.
Hi, I'm Braden. I drove very far to be here.
Braden drove an entire province to come and review Detective Pikachu. So you guys, I hope you clicked on the video. God damn it.
Brought him in special.
It was a special delivery. Ben is our Pokemon specialist as far as I'm concerned on this goddamn channel.
Oh man, that's a high honor.
Braden's drove an entire province, so he gets like 2 extra points on you. Alright, so I think it would make sense for us to kind of go around the table and just like start with initial like I guess what you thought of the film without talking about spoilers, because then we can do a spoiler check at some point, and then sort of like people can click off the video once they haven't seen Detective Pikachu yet, I guess. Ben, what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was pretty good. It didn't like shock and wow me. Like if I had to pick a movie to see again between this and Avengers Endgame, probably pick Endgame.
That's fair.
But like I thought it was really good. It did what it did, and it did it well.
Yeah. Spinning off of that, I think it was a little bit like narrative structure-wise, kind of paint by numbers. Like it was, the story didn't do anything groundbreaking, but because of the world that it created and the charm of the narrative, I think it kind of.
Yeah, totally. And like speaking of the charm, that movie had heart. It felt like there was like some like real like
passion,
real like respect, I guess, for like the subject matter.
But then also an understanding of how that subject matter can exist in sort of a contemporary context, considering it's based off of a game from 1998.
Well, Detective Pikachu is a game from...
Well, yeah, but Pokemon, though.
Yeah.
This had nothing to do with Detective Pikachu, the video game.
I've never played it. Is it, like... I have no idea if it was like a beat-for-beat, like, remake of the game. Like,
Detective Pikachu is closer to being a Phoenix Wright game than it is to being a Pokemon game.
Yeah, but, like...
Did the movie not make you think of Phoenix Wright, though?
No.
there was a little bit of it, like the investigating and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Or investigating as it's actually pronounced.
Pikachu's wild accusations and just tossing ideas out into the air that clearly didn't work.
Objection.
And talking animals, Phoenix Wright has called
Rocket the dog.
2 animals Missile.
First of all.
But he's also called Polly the parrot to the stand, and also there's a whale in the DLC for not Dual Destinies. What's the other one?
I don't know.
One of the more recent ones. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
That seems wildly impractical, calling a whale to the podium in a court of law.
Listen,
also, Dual Destiny sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Sounds like
really
a Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah.
Both of those things, but it's Ace Attorney. So.
Yeah. Raina, what do you think?
I thought it was cute. It was good, but none of my favorite Pokemon were in it. So
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Yeah, there's the scene where they first go into the office and there's an Eevee and like the Eevee is in the like act of evolving.
Okay, well,
And I was like, ah, that wasn't Vaporeon, so fuck you.
yeah.
What favorite Pokemon though? Top 3, go.
So Raichu's my favorite.
I respect.
Good pick.
And then Swinub.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have a third favorite Pokemon.
fair.
I don't know. They just a lot of the like original Pokemon I just didn't see, and I was kind of
If
like.
it's any consolation, my favorites weren't in it either.
There was
like
a
900 of them now.
There's a lot.
a craning shot at the beginning though that showed like a bunch of like little hairy things moving
On the power lines.
No, on the ground there was like, and I thought it looked like a herd of Swinubs
Was it?
from a distance. I can't
Maybe.
tell. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And there
it's-
was
But they were like
also-
a furry mound.
There was a lick of tongue, so
That's pretty good.
There was also the scene where it's like showing the power lines as it's coming into the apartment building, and there were like furry blobs walking along that, and I couldn't place like what Pokemon they were.
I don't think it was Swinub.
But because I
Yeah,
know,
no.
because,
They're very Terrarian.
because they were walking on power lines. I know they're not Swinub, but because they were shaped like just sort of like
a furry
like
blob.
a semicircle like furry blob, and they were brown. I was like, I guess it
Could've
could
been
be
a
Swinub.
Well, no, I bet it wasn't Bidoof. But god damn it, if Bidoof was in that movie, 10 out of 10.
He would have been the real hero.
Detective Bidoof.
No, it's Detective Pikachu, and then it's like Public Defender Bidoof. Attorney at law. Luke, what'd you think?
No, I liked it. It was fun. I like the designs of the Pokemon incorporated into the real world. I thought it worked pretty well.
I want one of those squirrels.
Oh my god, I was so happy to see Squirtle.
The Bulbasaur's really
Yeah, the Bulbasaur.
Yeah, the Bulbasaurs are great.
I like the Charmanders too.
Yeah.
All the starter Pokemon are cute.
No
What?
way.
It seemed like
And there's, like-
they put genuine effort into all of them, but the starters I feel like needed a little extra.
And I'm glad that they cut most of Jigglypuff out because Jigglypuff's design was the one I was least happy about because it was so furry.
Well, the Pokedex entries actually make mention of Jigglypuff having fur.
No, and I always like when I pictured Jigglypuff existing in the flesh zone where we all live. I pictured Jigglypuff being more like a peach, where it had like sort of a
I
light
can
fluff
get
on
that.
it, sort of thing. But like that thing was hairy.
Yeah, it looked like cotton candy. The
Yeah.
Snorlax kind of threw me off a little bit too, but Snorlax makes sense to be like kind
Fluffy.
of on the fluffier side.
Yeah.
It was also
Being on the street.
yeah, it was also small. That was a good reference for sure. It was also smaller than I thought it was.
Well, yeah, you remember that time that at work, me and Ben one time looked up all of the sizing charts for the Pokemon based off of Pokedex entries, and it's like Charizard's 5'6",
Yeah, I
and we
have-
were like, "What the? I'm taller than Charizard? Are you
I
kidding
have
me?"
almost 2 feet on Blastoise.
Yeah, which is insane. Braden,
Yeah, it was. I saw the first trailer and I was apprehensive, and then I saw the second trailer and it sold me on it. And then the movie just like met all of my expectations for the most part, and then like exceeded it in little parts. The Pokemon were just so cute. I had so many like heart clutching moments of just like I can't believe I'm seeing this. Like it's done so well, especially since we've seen another beloved character from our childhoods kind of mutilated in the real world.
We don't.
well, I mean, not getting into the specifics of Sonic the Hedgehog, there have been a lot of video game adaptations that have just been bad, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson starred in Doom 2005. Doom was
Super Mario
fucking
Brothers
terrible.
the movie.
I was just thinking that.
Street Fighter starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. That movie's hilarious and always fun to
super
watch.
good movie.
Terrible Street Fighter representation.
I will
both
say-
Mortal Kombat movies. I made Lucas watch those. I forced him
you
watch.
sure
them.
Super
did.
Mario Bros. Did 9/11 according to that movie.
Yes, the Mario brothers, Mario and Luigi Mario, literally did 9/11. So that's the Mario
They
brothers.
destroyed
their
the
def-
Twin Towers.
In their defense, John Leguizamo and what's his
Bob
name?
Are you
Hoskins.
defending
Bob
9/11?
Hoskins.
No. John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins were drunk the entire time
That's
they were
true.
filming.
Yeah,
That's
It's
true.
not their fault.
They
cut
had a
that
hard
out.
time flying those planes. Anyways,
That's still good.
Jesus.
Oh God.
it's bad. So back to Pokemon. I guess that's it. Sorry, we did the
We didn't get your
initial.
impression.
Oh, me, yeah. Well, I was kind of chiming in, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a little bit obvious as far as just like narrative progression is concerned. It's like of course, we're going to get to the sequence where there's this action, and then after the action, there's going to be a revelation, and the revelation is going to lead to a downturn. Downturn is going to lead to determination. Determination is going to lead to another action set piece. Like, it's very structured the way a movie like this is structured.
There's a million movies that you could basically play at the same time, and
yeah,
all follow similar beats. But the thing is, none of those movies have a cute little Pikachu in a
none of those movies have Ryan Reynolds as the cutest fucking rat I've ever seen in my life.
Also, what I really enjoyed was just like, because it is in the Pokemon world and it's just like throwing such like world changing kind of concept on its head, there was a lot of really good, interesting like set pieces.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I thought it was interesting that they referenced the Johto region and the Kanto region
and the Sinnoh region,
and the Sinnoh region, and there's, of course, Ben pointed out there's a reference to the British region,
the Galar region. At the start of the movie, I don't know if you guys caught it, but there's it shows when they're talking about like people battle with Pokemon. They showed the gym, and the gym they chose to show was like a soccer stadium, which was what we saw the gyms to be in the trailer for Sword and Shield.
So like, it was cool that they addressed all of those regions, but didn't necessarily paint the region that the film takes place in into one or the other.
Which is,
so it kind of like addresses the fact that it exists in the known canon of Pokemon without like being like, suddenly this town just exists.
I was
the Poblano region or whatever.
I agree with what you said, but also whenever they had like the sweeping shots of the city, it was so clearly London. Like, they had the big, like, spire thing.
I thought it was, like, New York.
No, it's
Tokyo.
that big building that kind of goes to a spire. That's, like, in London.
But there's all, like, the neon signs and everything. Like, I definitely got, like, a kind of, like...
Because they took that from Tokyo. Like, all the kind of lettering that they had looked...
Very,
Yeah, but I agree with Ben that it feels like they created a very sort of unique space with how they sort of dressed the settings.
It's sort of the vibe I got was that like it wasn't really like set in a region. It was almost as if like it's canon that the dude that created the city like intentionally removed it and made it like its own thing, like out in the middle of nowhere. He built a city kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and they addressed that it's like the specific special city that Pokemon and people live together in. And it's like, of course, sure, whatever. We'll take your made-up utopian city. Fine.
And I liked how they did that because they had like the bit on the train where he's like going to the city and there's like an announcement that basically describes the city.
Yeah.
And usually in a movie you'd be like, oh, it's just like pointless exposition so that we know what's going on. But like, it sort of served a purpose because it's like no Pokeballs, no Pokemon battling, like that stuff that's commonplace in other Pokemon cities kind of needs to be addressed if you're visiting that city, right?
And to snowball off of that, as far as like how that would play in a different movie, a very good example of that in like a cross-applicable situation is you've got the Silent Hill film that Christophe Gans directed that he was trying to do his best with. But there's this bit where Dahlia just info dumps like the entire plot of Silent Hill Origins, and it's just like 5 full minutes of just like, and then Alessa got burned by the cult, and she did not like that, and it's just like, I get that you're trying to build a world here, but Jesus fucking Christ, this is like banging my head against the toaster.
The way it was. And the way that they like framed it was like welcome to Rhyme City, like blah 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 blah. Just remember, like your Pokemon can't be in Pokeballs and don't fuck with people.
Exactly. Like it felt like watching the how to buckle your seatbelt on a plane video that you have to watch no matter what.
It's like,
so
in universe, these people need to know it because like this is different to how you do it in other towns.
And like it was pretty transparent, of course. Like we understand as viewers that this is just their way of sort of establishing setting, but it made sense in the canon of the film.
Yeah,
which totally worked. Yeah.
I didn't like how when they kind of first, I don't know if this is spoilery, it's just like the hollow thing.
Oh, well, let's get to the holograms once we hit spoilers.
I feel like...
Well, it would...
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if I feel like we got caught with a Pokemon, so you're going straight the fuck to jail.
Yeah,
you're gonna get mauled by an Arcanine. You know how many cops are in that town?
Like
there's a lot.
After the like battle scene where like that we saw in the trailers, like I don't think this is too much of a spoiler.
I mean, there's some Pokemon fights happening.
Yeah, and like cops show up and it's very clearly like, hey, you're going to jail, everyone. Like it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like breaking up a cockfighting race.
Yeah, it's literally it's that.
Yeah. All right, so I want to do a quick round the table, give it like an arbitrary rating, give it a something out of something, whatever, and then we can jump into spoilers and actually start chewing the fat. Ben.
There's a lot of different ways I would rate the movie, like for the Pokemon designs and how they kind of integrated the Pokemon aspect of everything into that world. I would say like 10 out of 10. That's great.
Yeah.
Plot-wise, probably like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Like, it's pretty generic, but like it's not bad. But then also like kind of like just other aspects of like how the movie was constructed, right? Like there was a lot of red and blues in the color scheme, which
Pokemon Red and
first of all
Pokemon Blue,
calls
of
back to
course.
Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, but it's also a detective film, and that's associated with police sirens.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of a cool aspect as well. And so there's a lot of stuff like that.
Like it feels very thoughtful in that
Yeah,
regard.
and it was like it feels very thoughtful. So I think overall, I'd probably give it like an 8 or a 9.
All right. And that's just an 8 or a 9, like not an arbitrary rating scale. That's your actual 8 or 9 out of 10
Yeah,
quality.
like overall, like as much as because I'm not gonna rate it on like how it compares to other movies or anything. I'm gonna rate it on how much I enjoyed it based on the aspects that I took away from it.
I like it.
So I'm just gonna give it like an 8 out of 10 because it did the whole Pokemon aspect of it really well.
Yeah.
The interactions between the characters were pretty good. I liked all of Ryan Reynolds, like Ryan Reynolds stuff. That was good.
Always a delight, you know.
Pikachu was adorable, and the movie was like pretty well constructed.
Yeah. Raina?
I gave it like 7 like badass Gyarados out of 10. Yeah, it was good. You know?
That was a good rating.
It was good.
I like that rating scale.
Yeah, it was good.
7 badass Magikarps. Gyarados is 1 Magikarp.
Absolutely.
Luke, what'd you think?
That was actually, my review, I was going to say 1 kick Magikarp out of 10. But my actual, like, number review is, like, probably a 7.5.
Yeah, that seems
I
fair.
think it paid good homage to our childhoods as Pokemon lovers.
Felt appropriate.
Ryan Reynolds, again, was good for what he did. I consider this Pokemon wholesome version.
Yep.
But,
Wholesome.
yes.
Awesome. Braden?
On a scale of Pokemon Trozzy to Pokemon Emerald, I'd give it a Pokemon Platinum. Which is like...
Alright.
Isn't it Troze?
Do I look like I
That's-
fucking know?
Sorry, I already made this joke to you earlier today, but that's like saying that Grimace from McDonald's should be pronounced like Versace.
Can I get some Grimace?
One thing I will say is
Rabble.
someone really needs to tell Ryan Reynolds that it's pronounced Pokemon and not Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
The whole movie he was saying it wrong, and I was like, "You're literally one. You should know how to say it."
All right. I'm gonna say that for what I can conjure, I'm gonna give this the rating of easily the best video game movie out of 10.
But the bar was not exactly.
The bar wasn't high, and like, of course, I'll always argue certain elements of the first Silent Hill film is like pretty fine, and there's things about Assassin's Creed that are okay, but
And
Assassin's Creed isn't very good.
And Street Fighter.
Street Fighter always slaps. Double Dragon is a fun movie despite the fact that it sucks shit. But Detective Pikachu just did it. It was a good movie, and then it was also an adaptation of a video game. So
Yeah.
Real quick, the Clue movie, does that count as like a video game movie? It's
No,
a board game movie.
yeah, that's a board game movie. So that would go up against Battleship, starring
Rihanna.
Taylor Kitsch and Rihanna.
Yeah.
That hurt my brain to
and
think
Liam
about.
Neeson.
Or the
Yeah, Liam Neeson.
or the adaptation that was The Wolf of Wall Street from Monopoly.
That's kind of... that's based off true events for the most part.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
saying Battleship isn't.
I mean, the Navy does exist.
so.
That's about where it begins and ends, though.
Moving right along. We've rated the movie. We like the movie. Everybody's pretty adamant that it's like right around
Around good.
a positive film experience. We'll likely watch again. Cute as fuck. We're gonna jump into spoilers. I'll slap a time code in the video so that you can skip if you don't want to do it. But spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Spoiled.
Mewtwo got way more powerful than he has ever been in any game ever before.
That's true.
Like soul swapping, like
That's just correct,
That's just like a level of power that, like, I would say that's like almost like God level.
Yeah.
Would that be like his natural power? Would that be what's left over from like all the experimentation
Well,
that
he's
they
a
did on
psychic
him?
I mean,
type, right?
Well, yeah,
Very
but
powerful
it's
one.
this is like after he's been in that tank for like God knows how many days.
But I mean, also he was made artificially to begin with, so it's like anything that he has is artificial.
I thought they were gonna reference Team Rocket, and I thought that's what the R was gonna be.
I was hoping.
And then like the only kind of reference to it was like, yeah, he escaped from the Kanto region 20 years ago.
So that was a cool thing that the movie seems to have attempted to legitimize the canon of the actual anime films, because the year now currently is 2019. And Pokemon, the first movie, I believe, came out in the year 2000.
Well, 1999, because the sequel was Pokemon.
Pokemon 2000. Yes, you're right. So
2000,
it was 99. So the fact that they're like, and Mewtwo escaped 20 years ago was just like, all right.
But it would also be ignorant to like not acknowledge the other movies.
I mean, but they could have created their own canon, because this is the first time that they've ever attempted live action. Right?
Totally, yeah.
So like the fact that they were just like, but also the rest of Pokemon. It's just
because
cool.
they're not trying to forget something.
No, but I'm saying that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying I like the fact that they did that, because it shows more of a attentiveness to the shit that we all care about as fans of Pokemon.
I will say I liked the use of the original Pokemon theme, but I'm curious how that'll translate into international versions.
Are you talking about like when they had the orchestral version, or when Ryan Reynolds was singing it and sobbing on the road?
Both.
Yeah.
Because first of all, the Japanese version's completely different, but I imagine just as iconic to people that live in Japan. So it's like a completely different song. But the international versions, like the French and Spanish one, like those are like, I'm pretty sure they're just ours, but
like
different languages.
When this movie shows like premieres in Japan, whenever that happens, may have already happened, of course. Do you think that they're going to have dubbed it, or do you think they're just going to subtitle it?
I think if they do it right, they will change it so it is the Japanese theme song.
Okay. But like the fact that Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu, like, would giving that to a different, like a Japanese voice actor, for example, take away from like the idiosyncratic body language and tics of how the character interacts in space?
I think they're gonna have to dub it just like they would any other movie. Like, it's not gonna be Ryan Reynolds speaking Japanese in the Japanese version, obviously, but they're gonna have to find someone who does his best to kind of encapsulate that, right?
I think having subtitles like in cinemas is more common overseas. For
it could be.
Films.
That's fair, but I imagine there will be a dub, because I've seen Harry Potter dubbed.
Oh.
Oof.
Yeah.
I saw The Simpsons dubbed one time.
That must be weird.
It's really bad.
Yeah. But also, it's not uncommon for something that was originally like a Japanese property to come over to America, and then they just bring that property back over.
Yeah.
Allow me to nerd out for a second. So like Power Rangers is based on the Japanese Super Sentai.
Yep.
And they make it here. But there's like certain series that have been brought back to Japan and like dubbed over kind of in Japanese again, because the stories of some of the seasons are like vastly different.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Like, something like Samurai Pizza Cats, where they lost the script for the like they didn't have the Japanese script.
Ghost Story.
So Ghost Story. But they basically just came. Well, the difference between those two is Samurai Pizza Cats. They came up with a new script.
Yeah.
That they could then
instead of just embracing the fact that there's a script.
Ghost Story. They were like, we're fucked. Let's just let everyone improvise it, and so they did.
And they did. But yeah, what else?
I'd love to see a Japanese dub of Detective Pikachu, like for that moment. I'd like to see what they do with it.
It'd be interesting to see for sure. Other important points about the film, the soul swap we mentioned briefly. That was kind of interesting, honestly. I'm not sure how I feel about that as far as like the canon of Pokemon is concerned.
Mewtwo being a psychic type,
sure.
I can see the like transmission of thoughts between people. I get that, but I don't like. They should have left the bodies down.
Yeah, I think that if it was the body, like the unconscious body, and the weird thing is that Bill Nighy as whatever Howard, Clifford Howard or Gregory Howard.
He was Howard Clifford.
Howard Clifford, thank you. When he transmutated into Mewtwo's body, his body remained in the chair. But then when Mewtwo did the soul swap to the rest of them...
That's because...
Yeah, hold on. The bodies disappeared. And I just think it's weird that there was that transference of matter. Like, it just seems strange that they wouldn't have just left the bodies in the streets. And it's not like the fact that the Mewtwo mind swap thing, like, it's completely different because they were using different technology, different means, different whole thing. But it's just like, why not just leave Ken Watanabe's body in the street next to Snubbull and make it less strange?
Yeah.
They might have done that originally, but with like screen testings, they were probably like, it looks like they're all dead, and so they had to like remove it.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. Could be.
I didn't even notice that there were no bodies until they materialized
The
back
bodies
at the
reappeared.
end.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Definitely fucks.
Definitely fucks. Ditto turns into a lady with beady little eyes, which I found terrifying, but is probably someone's fetish.
I
I don't like it.
So far this year, I've seen Hereditary. I've seen Pet Sematary. I've seen 15 Minutes of the Nun. That movie's pretty bad. I rewatched Apostle. I've seen a lot of scary movies in the past, month and a half, give or take. Nothing startled me the way that Dead-Eyed Ditto Woman startled me.
Because every time it came back, it was just as shocking as the first time.
Yeah, right? Like, but she had sunglasses on at first, and then it was like the directors were like, how can we make sure everyone knows this is a Ditto, and also make them all shit their pants?
And then they just did it.
It's like, okay, so what if we had like a regular human lady, and then she takes off the glasses and is some sort of abomination? And it's like, let's do that.
The most upsetting thing about it is that they canonized it at the sort of the start of the second act, when Tim and Detective Pikachu are going to the set of the news station that Lucy works at. Lucy being the female lead, of course.
Yeah.
And there's a report going on where the Cliffords are both being filmed. And old man Bill Nighy Clifford gets out in his wheelchair and starts rolling on, and there's a Ditto just off set, and as he rolls past the Ditto materializes into the shape of a human being and starts pushing the chair.
Yeah.
So it's like, we know, I guess, the Ditto can do this,
and
which
also,
is fine.
Also, she had that particular character that becomes a Ditto. I can't remember her name. I don't even know if it was said. She's shown earlier when she gets out of the car, and her arm is pink, and it's played off like she's wearing a
long glove.
Long glove.
Yeah.
Like an elbow length glove.
The real hero of this movie was Bill Nye's son, who smacked the Ditto out of the building.
Yeah,
when he did
God.
a Cubone murder.
Yeah.
That was...
So let's paint the scene. Our homeboy Tim is hanging on to the edge of a windowsill, and he's about to fall out of a building, several dozen stories, realistically
for sure.
speaking. I'd probably say 40, 50, whatever. But he's hanging on, he's got one hand left, and a little Ditto Cubone is, taunting him almost?
No, trying to knock him off. He keeps...
But he's doing it very, slowly,
one
he
finger
knows.
at a time
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, like a bad guy in a Disney movie from the 80s would,
Which says something about that Ditto, too, because it was under orders to, deal with Tim, but not, torture.
Exactly.
So, all the Pokemon you can turn into, and you just...
That Ditto was sinister.
Have you seen
But,
its eyes?
sorry, just bear with
It's
me.
a psychopath.
As he's about to knock the last clutching fingers, the son of Bill Nighy shows up with one of those rope things,
I thought it was like a candle holder.
Oh, I thought it was bigger than that. It looked like one of those things, like at the movie theater, where it's
Yeah.
the metal stand that the rope comes out of to guide lines or whatever. And he just bats the Ditto out the window, and I'm presuming fucking murders it.
No, because it comes back and it turns into a Bufalon.
Yeah,
and then
I
it
know.
knocks him the fuck out. Because
I
it's
know.
Ditto and it can transform into a bird.
I know. I
And then
wish.
wanted
I wish
Ditto.
it died.
And then he got hit with the purple gas, and it just started to mutate, and it was just a culmination of everything it could transform into for a brief second.
Turned
Yeah,
into
that was
40 different Pokemon.
It was the thing.
It turned into John Carpenter's The Thing.
It was weird that the purple gas makes everything go crazy except the Ditto, which it kills.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, that Ditto got a lot straight up in its schnoz, and it's very tiny. Maybe it just got a sensory overload or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. These are semantics.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is its main thing is it can transform, but the gas or whatever. Spoiler, we're already past that thing. Just makes them go crazy. So if it doesn't have kind of control over its mind, and that's its power,
So yeah, that's another thing to address. Is the MacGuffin of the film is a serum of crazy gas that's manufactured out of Mewtwo's blood, I guess. And they just pull it out of Mewtwo, and then they crazy gas the Pokemon, and then when the Pokemon are crazy gassed, Mewtwo can do the soul transfer, but only when they've been crazy.
Only when they're crazy, yeah.
Yeah, which seemed that was a little bit of me sitting and suspending my disbelief, because it was what's the point of this extra MacGuffin?
It could be, it could be like they're less in control of themselves. Almost
Sure.
like catching a Pokemon, you have to weaken it before
But
you
at
put the
that
soul in
point,
it.
at that point, it felt like Zootopia almost, where
A
it's
little
like
bit.
back to your natural state, Pokemon.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
That kind of, yeah, because when they like set up like, oh, Pokemon working in harmony with humans and everything, it's like the insinuation is like, oh, Pokemon have some idea of like self,
Sure.
obviously, and then this gas, yeah, just kind of makes them go back to their feral thing, opens up the mind, freeze, whatever.
Zootopia.
Yeah, an interesting point that they brought up in the movie is that Pokemon can't actually understand humans. They just kind of get the gist through the feeling.
Yeah, kind of like the way people tell you to train dogs. It's like the dog doesn't know what you're saying. The dog knows your tone.
But like that kind of shines a light on like, I mean, like, so when they're understanding through feelings, are they getting like full sentences or just kind of like the idea of what you want them to do? Because there are situations where like in the anime, like Ash like talks to his Pikachu like he would another person, and
Yeah.
Pikachu does the whole like PPP thing.
And I mean, then there's also like the whole canon where Meowth taught itself to speak because
Yeah.
it got wronged romantically.
It wanted to impress a
It wanted
impress a
to,
girl Meowth.
and a girl Meowth was not impressed with it, so he had to teach
Which-
himself human
You
language.
got friend zone.
Which fuck that, by the way.
Milady, Meowth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
like-
fuck that, by the way. If
Persian
you're
or something.
I have no idea.
if you're a Pokemon that's not able to speak and you teach yourself to speak, you should get laid.
I feel like.
So Mewtwo fucks then.
Definitely. Well, Mewtwo doesn't speak; it transmits its thoughts telepathically.
Yeah. Well, until Bill Nye is in it,
Until
and
Bill
it
Nye is in it.
starts speaking.
Oh, that was another thing I liked when they're at the Pokemon battle and they've got like the dude, like the MC there, and they're like playing music and he's like commentating the
MC played by Diplo, by the way. Weird. That was weird.
Yeah.
Diplo was the DJ.
But the like, not the guy who comes down and
No,
talks to them.
the music guy.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
explain why his delivery was awful.
Terrible. It was Diplo.
But yeah, they had he's like commentating the match and playing music and everything, and they had all the mic and all the equipment hooked up to a bunch of Loudred. And when he's speaking, the Loudred is moving its lips like it's speaking human language.
Where does the cord go?
Where do you think? The same place Ant-Man went.
Oh no. Spoilers for Endgame.
Spoilers for
Anyways, I pardon me. I really liked the Loudred like murmuring their lips to make like a bass line during the fight.
Yeah.
And then when they go crazy, they start screaming and it turns into like Skrillex terrible dubstep.
No, it was
What a
awesome.
cute little detail.
Yeah, no, I think the Loudred were handled actually probably up there with some of the
I would
best
say
of
like
any-
top tier
like, of anyone
representation in the film. Yeah.
like Mr. Mime as well, a little bit in
Yeah,
some ways.
he was good.
That was so much fun. That whole scene, like where Justice Smith had to like pantomime everything, but
And-
like the sound effects were still there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like when
oh,
he's
yeah.
lighting the imaginary match that he's threatening to light the Mr. Mime on fire with, and there's actually the sound of sulfur tearing.
Yeah, when he
And-
like hits his head on the wall.
Yeah, and then Mr. Mime blows out the match, and you just hear like the.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
yeah.
cute. That was a
And
cute
then,
scene.
and then when he drops the match and it cuts to black with just the.
Yeah, and like the Mr. Mime, like one like half frame of him, like his eyes going wide, and then just like cuts. It was
That was a fun scene. I
Yeah.
like that.
that was excellent. The Pokemon fight was really cool too.
Gengar using double team, and then Blastoise using, I guess, a combination of Hydro
Spin
Pump
attack
and
and Hydro
Withdraw
Pump.
or Rapid Spin.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, then the Pikachu fighting the Charizard, and Tim jumping into the fight and like kicking the Charizard's tail
Yeah, I like that.
as like a hard distraction tactic. It was just like
it harkens back to the Pokemon manga with Red jumping in to protect his Pikachu from Onix, or just any battle in that where it's like that Pokemon used an attack and it's missed, but that attack's still going. Like it goes.
it
somewhere.
still happened.
Like
It
he
used
fl-
Earthquake,
he used-
and I still stand here.
He used Flamethrower, and the Pokemon got out of the way. What's behind the Pokemon? Probably the trainer.
Hi.
Trainer's got to move too.
Hi, it's me, Scott, standing behind my Pikachu.
Yeah, right. Like
Welcome to
it
Jackass.
felt-
My name's Scott. This is Pokemon Jackass.
Pokemon Jackass is a movie I would watch the fuck out of.
Buy 7 tickets. Day 1.
Day one.
I think it was really cool the way that they integrated Mewtwo into the story too. I didn't think that Detective Pikachu was going to be such like a direct sequel to the story of Mewtwo that had been established by
Yeah.
the Pokemon anime. So it was just like it was really cool. I was just like
It was
really
cool.
interested to see
Technically, it's the second sequel.
because
It
there's
is.
the return of
Mewtwo,
Mewtwo.
There's,
Yeah.
there's Mewtwo Strikes Back and then Mewtwo Returns.
Yep.
Mewtwo Strikes Back being the first one. Pokemon the first movie is Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Oh, because like in North America we got Pokemon I Choose You.
No, in North America we got Pokemon the first movie.
Yeah,
because they were like, "Fuck you, we know you'll buy it."
But the subtitle is Mewtwo Strikes Back because he breaks out of like the Team Rocket base and then strikes back against humanity.
And then Mewtwo Returns is the one where he returns.
And there's the tiny little baby Nidoking and Nidoqueen, and they're adorable.
They are. You're right.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, we watched that one.
It was a hot minute.
Yeah. So presumably at some point after that, he gets recaptured and taken to this Rhyme City base.
Mm-hmm. One thing I do like, because I feel like we've hit some of the major like actual narrative points. Ryan Reynolds, of course, is Detective Pikachu, and the opening scene features a cameo from the gentleman who plays Dupender, the cab driver in Deadpool and Deadpool 2. And it's like, oh, they're buddies. That makes sense. Of course, if they're gonna have like a person featured in a cameo role in the opening, it would be somebody who's friends with Ryan Reynolds. That makes sense. And then also, one of the previews for the film was the preview for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and of course Let them fight. Ken Watanabe plays the chief of police in Rhyme City, so
Yeah.
it's just like, look at all these points of connection. Look at art, movies, magical.
Speaking of the chief of police and the police in general, the Arcanine was also one of the top tier, like, real world Pokemon designs.
Yeah, and I mean, the Squirty Turtle Boys showing up.
Oh, God, I want one of those Squirtles so bad. They're so good.
Putting out fires, hanging out, high-fiving.
Yeah, hanging out with they even, I think they said, in the kind of like newscast when they were showing them putting out the fire, they were like, they called them the Squirtle Squadron, which is so close, guys.
It was almost the Squirtle Squad.
It was almost.
They almost had sunglasses.
They almost had sunglasses.
Yeah, that was all good.
There was no Venusaur though. There was Blastoise and Charizard. No Venusaur.
We did
That's
not
true.
see
That
Venusaur.
would have been good.
Do you know how many people choose Bulbasaur as their starter? 5.
Disappointingly few.
Yeah.
It's a good Pokemon. It's just got some hard competition. I feel bad for Bulbasaur.
What was the big
Torterra?
Torterra? Thank you. I was going to say the turtle from Stephen King's It that carries all of existence on its back. You know, Torterra. Yeah, of course.
I thought that was a Terry Pratchett thing. Sorry.
That's Discworld.
There's the giant Torterra that stand up for like 30 seconds and then go back down.
And it's pretty much that scene from An Unexpected Journey when they say it's not a storm, it's just the mountain giants punching each other in the dick, and then you see them do that for like 35 seconds.
See, here's the thing though. How many push-ups can you do, Scott?
100.
Now, how many push-ups can you do when you have like a continent on your back?
100.
Wow.
I'm really tough.
But like their muscles are also big. Like
That's
it's not
true.
a regular Torterra with like an island on it.
I see it because they were an experiment, right?
But largely to counter my own point, the Torterras in the actual terrarium did not do a lot of moving.
No, they didn't.
Like they were like, "Meh," and then back down into the ground, and then the very large Torterras were like, "Meh," and then back into the ground. So it was like, oh, that's just what they do.
They're pretty docile.
They're docile. Yeah.
So, but it's like I saw it as like the Torterras, like they're an experiment, right? So the giant Torterras, like they're in the middle of nowhere. They probably made them big, pretty much just to have the land for the facility. And when they stand up, it just takes so much energy that all they can really do is like stand up and then kind of like go back down because they're failed experiments.
Relatable. Anyways.
I don't care. I still feel like it should have changed something about the world. They stood up. Events happened that affected our heroes.
Trees went sideways.
Yeah, and like it looked really cool. That's what I was talking about, like the interesting set pieces. But everything went back to normal.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really know that it went back exactly as it was before, though.
I would love a follow-up like short film that's just like, we're the Environmental Protection Agency, and we rolled around after there was like some reports of some damage, and everything's fucked. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
but like I could see them like getting up and then getting back down, and it's like suddenly you need a new map because now everything's different to the way it was.
that would be
before.
interesting too. Yeah.
Like there's new rivers now because the Torterra didn't sit down exactly where it was.
And suddenly the water's being routed to the wrong place or whatever.
Yeah.
Snowballing off of that, though, right after that scene is when we get introduced to like Bulbasaurs in the wild.
Yeah.
And the parade of Bulbasaurs might be the single cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I can die happy now.
Yeah. I think there was one Bulbasaur at the top of its the top of its bulb had like a little bit of pink.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, are you about to evolve into an Ivysaur? Like,
Yeah.
that's like the old Bulbasaur that's like been around a bit.
About to evolve.
About to evolve.
Yeah. It was very cute. What was the weird mushroomy guy hanging out with them?
Oh, that was Flabebe, I think.
Thank you. It was a good scene.
Yeah,
It's a good scene. This movie is like a lot of like watching the scene and then at the end of the scene going, that was a really good scene.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Did you guys like Psyduck?
I did like Psyduck. I was into Psyduck. I also like Ludicolo.
Oh yeah, Ben was really excited about bartender Ludicolo going into the movie.
I've never given two shits about Ludicolo in any Pokemon game or the Pokemon anime where I think Brock has Ludicolo.
Probably.
Grass, water. He's a rock trainer. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like grass and water are like the blue and the yellow that make the green that is rock type.
I guess. But that movie sold Ludicolo to me.
Yeah. Like the trailer that had Ludicolo show up and like do the big like bah! Ben literally was talking about that for like days.
It was my favorite scene of the trailer that it was in. And I've never cared at all about Ludicolo.
And the payoff was huge.
It was good.
The Squirtle's very good. The Charmanders were very good. I was very robbed on my Vaporeon representation. Sorry, still salty about that.
Yeah, no Jolteon either. I feel your pain.
We should go around the table and say which Pokemon we wanted to see that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, totally.
Ben? And, I mean, do bear in mind, like, the context of the film as well. Like, it wouldn't make sense for Celebi to show up. So
sure, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have really wanted to see Celebi, but, like, it was Mewtwo's movie, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
One legendary.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
It was not Celebi's place to show up, so.
Yeah, my favorite Pokemon's Wartortle, as I mentioned before. I would have liked to see an evolved Squirtle.
Could you imagine, like, the squadron of Squirtles with sunglasses, and then there's, like, one Wartortle with, like, a hat?
Yeah.
And he's just, like, leading them?
Jolteon would have been good, too. But it would have also been interesting to see, like, an Alakazam. Because Alakazam's, like, 200 IQ. And, like, if they're talking about, like, all the different Pokemon, like, that are, like, living in harmony with people, it's like, you've got to have Alakazam, like, doing your books or something, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
There's no bookkeepers. You have your 200 IQ, like, living computer do it for you. So it would have been interesting to see that. One thing I would have liked them to see, which I understand why they didn't, but it would have been cool if they, like, revealed the new Gen 8 Pokemon. But, like, only did it in the realistic style.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're, like, just watching the movie, and then in the background it's like, whoa, what's that?
Like, the second evolution of...
Sobble.
Sobble, yeah, something like that.
Or even just, like, a completely new one where you're like, that's not a Pokemon, and then it's like, but it is. Like, kind of like how they had Donphan in the first movie.
Pokemon, the first movie, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Raina?
I don't know, it would have been cool to see, like, Sandslash or something.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
I like Sandshrew and Sandslash, so I don't know, that would have been cool to see them.
Alolan or regular?
Regular.
Fair.
Just normal Sandslash.
I'm a ground type guy, so I agree with that.
Yeah. I feel like there was just a handful of, like, first-gen Pokemon that were very pointedly missing. Like, there was that whole story arc with Sandshrew and the whole thing with Ash in the original series, and it was just like...
That one episode where it's like a Sandshrew that trains a bunch.
Yeah.
I make my Sandshrew swim so it resists water. I'm pretty sure that's almost animal abuse, right?
I throw my cat in the bathtub, it hates it! And you're like, what?!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I light it on fire.
Oh, God. Now it's fireproof! That's not how that works.
I could have sworn there was like a Meowth in the promotional material, but I don't remember seeing one in the movie.
No, I don't either. Lucas?
Yeah, Sandslash, but I think personally in like the fighting, I'd like to see like a Hitmonchan or a Hitmonlee.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
Like I don't know. I'd just like to see a bunch of fighting Pokemon in a fighting ring.
That would have been cool.
I mean, Charizard would sick.
I mean,
make it more of like an underground kind of Street Fighter place.
Yeah.
It's kind of that Pokken school of thought though, where it's like instead of having Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, they've got Luchador Pikachu, and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Braden?
Well, I saw my Charizard, so
that's true.
I'm good. But I had it. Just because it was kind of canon in the first Pokemon movie, I would have loved to see like Dragonites being like male Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been good.
That would have been a lot of fun.
That would have been. You're right.
I also just speaking to the Alakazam thing, I want the sequel to be Alakazam's point of view in a monk style movie, like the TV show Monk, and I want them to bring back Tony Shalhoub, who doesn't speak, but he just does all the mocap for Alakazam.
All right. That's
Nintendo, call this man.
thinking outside the box. Yeah, I like it. I mean, the one that I really wanted to see was Mudkip.
Oh, fair.
The game that I spent the most time, like the first Pokemon game that really introduced me into Pokemon was Sapphire, and Mudkip was my boy. So
I will say one thing I liked about the Charizard was they mentioned that the Pikachu came by and fought the Charizard and won, which is fair. Electric beats flying.
Yeah.
But what was cool about it is the Charizard actually had a scar on its nose from that fight. And the guy mentioned it. He's like, yeah, like last time this Pikachu was here, it scarred my Charizard. And you could see the scar on the Charizard's snout.
And what was cool about the design of the scar was that it splayed the sort of way that a lightning strike scar does. So it was like just little details, you know.
So that Charizard is Harry Potter,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which means Ryan Reynolds is Voldemort. Oh yeah, I guess we should do the final spoiler. The soul transfer. The Undertaker to Brock Lesnar style soul transfer that happened in this film. Ryan Reynolds is Justice Smith's dad, and his soul gets put into the Pikachu's body. There's a weird caveat where they're like, if I can only save your body if your son's here. I don't know why that seemed a little odd.
Okay, how I kind of rationalized that was
sure.
Like the body's dead. In order to save the life of his dad, he had to transfer the mind into the Pikachu.
Sure.
And he needed at least 50% of the genetics to make a new one. Basically.
Okay.
So he could create a new one, but he needed at least half the
He
work
needed a
done.
reference
So
point.
he needed
Sure.
something just to build off of. So he had the son's genome there.
All right. I'm not going to fight it because I don't have a better
Or he
explanation.
could rebuild it from whatever memories he has because he's mind reading.
It felt like they were going for a very the real Detective Pikachu was the friends we made along the way. So it kind of felt like it was going for more of like a hokey emotional thing.
Yeah.
But I like your approach. So yeah, Ryan Reynolds shows up at the end as Ryan Reynolds as Hot Dad, and he just
That's DILF.
Yeah, it's true. And then that's the movie. So spoilers, we did it. I think that's the review.
Yeah, one more thing I liked in the credits when it was doing like the stylized credits, I really liked how everyone had their own all the characters got their
Pokemon-style
own
avatar.
Pokemon style, and it was drawn in the art style of this could be a trainer in the game, but it's this character.
Yeah, showed up like the characters from the Game Boy games.
It was very cool.
And I mean, they used the Pokemon theme song.
They used the
end
Pokemon
credits,
theme song.
which is-
Ryan Reynolds sings the Pokemon theme song,
It's good.
which means it's real life canon that he listened to it probably at some point.
Had to have.
That was a double heart clench for me for the song, but also because he was so sad.
He was so sad.
Oh.
God, he was sad. All right, ending on a sad note. This has been Taking Credit For. It's the month of anime. That was Detective Pikachu. I would say collectively we all liked it. I'm going to start the sign off. I'm Scott. If you like the review, watch the rest of our fucking shitty videos. Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be doing it all month. On to Ben.
I think this was maybe a stretch for anime because it was a live action movie, but did love it, and I do think it fits in.
Fair enough. Raina.
Are we supposed to say bye? What?
You nailed it. Lucas.
I didn't say bye.
Yeah,
Bye, by the way.
I'd say definitely go see this movie. It's fun. It's cute.
It's not as long as
a
it.
Pokemon wholesome version.
It's true.
Yeah.
Braden.
Oh man, yeah, go check it out. Good time, good movie, good way to spend a birthday.
Yeah, everybody wish Braden a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Braden.
Happy birthday.
And everybody wish Scott a happy birthday because
Happy
it's
birthday,
currently
Scott.
Happy birthday.
It's been canceled.